Section 23 of the Fables of Pilpay. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Fables of Pilpay, by Anonymous. Translated by Abdullah Ibn al-Muqaffa and Joseph Harris. Fable 15. The Scorpion and the Tortoise. A tortoise and scorpion had once contracted a great intimacy, and bound themselves in such a tie of friendship that the one could not live without the other. These inseparable companions, one day, finding themselves obliged to change their habitation, travelled together. But in their way, meeting with a large and deep river, the scorpion, making a stop, said to the tortoise, "My dear friend, you are well provided for what we see before us, but how shall I get over this water?" "Never trouble yourself, my dear friend, for that," replied the tortoise. "I will carry you upon my back, secure from all danger." The scorpion, on this, without hesitation, got upon the back of the tortoise, who immediately took water and began to swim. But he was hardly got half-way across the river when he heard a terrible rumbling upon his back, which made him ask the scorpion what he was doing. "Doing?" replied the scorpion. "Why, I am whetting my sting, to try whether I can bore this horny cuirass of yours, that covers your flesh like a shield from all injuries." "Oh, ungrateful wretch!" cried the tortoise. "Wouldst thou, at a time when I am giving thee such a demonstration of my friendship, wouldst thou at such a time pierce with thy venomous sting the defence that nature has given me, and take away my life? It is well, however, I have it in my power both to save myself and reward thou as thou deserves." So saying, he sunk his back to some depth under the water, threw off the scorpion, and left him to pay his life, the just forfeit of his monstrous ingratitude. "Had he not destroyed his ungrateful favourite in this manner, royal sir," continued Dimna, "his own life had paid for it, and it is a good and most just general rule that the wicked are never to be favoured." "You urge me too hard upon this subject," said the lion, "and I cannot but think that were Torbay capable of so much perfidiousness, he would certainly have shown his malicious intentions before." "Never trust to that," replied Dimna. "He carried on his design with more prudence. He will not, royal sir, attack your majesty's person openly and publicly himself, no, but he will cajole your whole court and delude them into his interests, and then take his own time to destroy your sacred person, and, openly avowing his guilt, perhaps set himself up for king in your place. Just heaven keep me from seeing such a day! Providence defend me from such master!" "You say something indeed now," said the lion, interrupting him. "But now I know him guilty, how shall we find a fair pretence to be rid of him?" "Let me alone for that," replied Dimna. "A faithless subject must be punished." These amusements of the subtle fox made such an impression on the mind of the king, that he at length told Dimna he was come to a resolution to admit Torbay no more into his presence, but to banish him altogether from his court, after he had upbraided him with his ingratitude, and let him know the reason of his fall. This resolution, however, was far enough from being pleasing to Dimna. A guilty conscience never can have rest. He feared that if the king once came to talk with Torbay, all his villainy would be discovered. On this, said he to the lion, "Sir, if I may continue my boldness of speaking to your majesty, I have heard from persons of understanding that a prince ought never to inflict public punishment upon faults committed in secret, nor secretly to chastise public crimes. Therefore, seeing Torbay is a secret transgressor, he must be privately punished."
"No," replied the lion. "It is a great piece of injustice to punish any one before he be told the reason of his punishment."
"To satisfy yourself of his guilt," replied Dimna, "it will be sufficient that once for all you make him sensible of your displeasure, and give him a cold reception. his conscience will upbraid him with his perfidiousness at the same instant, and he will no longer doubt but that you are preparing for him his due reward, and you will perceive him accordingly disturbed and agitated in his mind, which will be an evident proof of the truth of my suspicions."
"If it prove so," replied the lion, "I shall soon be convinced of his treason." Dimna, now seeing the king prepared to his heart's desire, went to Cohotorbe and made him a low bow. To whom the ox, after many caresses, said, "My good old friend, what is the reason that you come to see me no oftener? Is it because you think me no longer one of your friends?"
"Though I have been absent for some time," replied Dimna, "yet, believe me, I have still preserved you in my thoughts."
"But why," replied the ox, "did you retire from the court?"
"For this plain reason," replied Dimna, "because I love my liberty, and when we are in the king's presence we tremble for fear, as always being under restraint."
"If I mistake you not, friend," replied Cohotorbe, "you look as if you were not satisfied with the king, and were afraid of some misfortune or foul play."
"Indeed, you have guessed but too well the cause of my uneasiness," answered Dimna. "I tremble, and am as troubled as you can conceive me to be. But it is for your sake, friend, and not for my own, that I am in this perplexity."
Poor Cohotorbe, terribly frightened at this answer, quaking for fear, says to Dimna, "My dear friend, let me know the danger that threatens me, that, if possible, I may guard against it." To this Dimna, with a look of great compassion, replied,
"It is but just, friend, that you should know your danger, nor should I act consistently with that friendship I have ever professed to you, not to acquaint you with it. The truth, therefore, is this. A friend of mine entrusted me with a private discourse which passed, some days ago, between the king and a great person who has no kindness for your lordship. Said the king to this great person, 'I have been considering that Cohotorbe is now very fat and of no use to us, and I must a few days hence feast all the lords of my court. I think my cheapest way will be to roast this ox alive and whole for their entertainment.' I tremble to repeat this, but as I knew it, I could not but inform you of it, and bring you this news to convince you that I am your real friend, and to assist you, as far as lies in my power, to avoid the danger."
Cohotorbe was astonished at this piece of dismal intelligence. "But by what device," said he, "shall I be able to escape this intended cruelty of the king? Alas! good heaven is my witness, I never gave him the least occasion to use me so severely. Certainly I must have some private enemy, who has falsely accused me behind my back, and incensed him without a cause against me, and a prince who discards and punishes a servant on such grounds is like the drake, who, seeing the resemblance of the moon in the water, thought it to be some extraordinary fish, and, deluded with that error, dived several times to catch it, but, mad to see that all his efforts proved vain, in a violent rage came out of the water, swearing never to return to that element again, and after that, though he were ever so hungry, would never dive more after any fish, believing it to be only the light of the moon. But for me, unhappy that I am, backbiters and flatterers have so prepossessed the lion against me, that whatever I do henceforward to please him, he will still believe that I only dissemble."
"I know not what to say, or how to advise in this case," replied Dimna. "The king may see his error and alter his mind, but then, on the other side, being absolute in his power, he may, without being bound to give any reason for it, condemn you to death."
"It is most true," replied Cohotorbe. that princes often seek the destruction of those who seem their greatest favourites, and many, who envy the grandeur and ease of court life, know not the dangerous accidents that attend it, as you may learn by the ensuing fable.
End of section 23. Read by Hannah Dormer, London, 5th of March, 2021.